Alright, welcome to the Profit Pricer number 3 video. And now we're going to jump into what is known as efficiency. So this is our efficiency tab. Our MP4 tab is efficiency, and I'm going to go ahead and just rename that efficiency if we can. And there we go. Efficiency. Okay. It's one of the three legs of a three-legged stool when we create our selling price. First is production, second is efficiency, and the third is our cost. Okay? And we'll get into speaking about that later down the road in some other videos. Alright, so here's how you set up your efficiency. You start off with this line right here. This is available work units. So hours are in the service department and days are in the installation department. So based off of the 20 days per vacation and holiday and sick days paid, plus the 3 days that you don't pay for, if you remember that, you end up with 237 days. Well, that translates into 1,896 hours because it was 2,080 hours. All right? So that's how you end up with these available work units. Now what you need to do is identify what is the downtime that I have. Now this is information that we should be tracking, and we do track, and that will end up with giving us how many sold hours or sold days that we actually have available to deliver. Okay, so here's our production side. Here's where the inefficiencies happen in our businesses, right here. This is where the inefficiencies happen. So the first one is service system time, where we greet, we explore, we present, we wrap, and there's no execute in this piece because that's our production side of it. But in the greet, the explore, the present, the wrap, that's all unproductive. So you have to identify, okay, how much time do I have unproductive? Right? And you may not know this, and I'll say this, most people don't know this. This is designed to bring this to your attention, to understand what it could be. Okay, so let's just say you may take a wild guess and say it's 500 hours. All right? So that's going to take you from 100% down to 73% efficient right away. Unbilled travel time, so in other words, the time we drive to the job that we're not billing our full rate at. If you're collecting a $49 trip charge, but your selling price is $500, it's not your full rate, right? So you have to understand, okay, how much of that is unproductive. So let's just say it's another 300 hours a year. That's unproductive. That's going to bring you down to 57%. Now standby time, where this happens when you don't have a call for the tech to run. Maybe it's between 10 and 2 o'clock, or maybe it's from noon to 5, or whenever that is, or maybe you're just sending home because you don't have time. You don't have any work for them. So that's all standby time that we're assuming here that you're paying the guys 40 hours a week. And it's not just a matter of whether you physically pay them the 40 hours a week. It's the hours that the company's actually losing that they can't bill for. So whether you pay the guy or not, whether he's on commission or not, it doesn't matter. It's about the 40 hours a week that we're talking about here. So let's just say there's another 500 hours figured in that. Now that's bringing your efficiency down to 31%. Starting to get a little alarming, right? Okay, and now time charged over quote. This probably hasn't happened to you, but it happened to me. This is where we would go out and bid a job for an hour, and it took us 3 hours. Like I said, probably never happened to you, so I'll put a 0 in there. Here's another thing that probably never happened to anybody here either, and that is tech error, a callback, or you never had any material. Well, let's just say it happened to you one time. Okay, I'll put a 1 in there, and maybe it's 2 times because it was the manufacturer's more than it is us. So I put a 1 hour there. You can see that this is just changing the percentages fractionally, so it really didn't change that 31.28. However, if it was 20 hours, it would change it a little bit more, right? So anyways, this is now training time. This is the hours that you're paying the guys for training from 8 to 4:30. And let's just say you do that 1 day a year. Hopefully it's more, but let's just say for right now. And then other time off for whatever that you're paying them for, other than your paid PTO time. Okay, so that ends up with a 30.85%, and that would be the efficiency for that department. All right. Now, an installation department is going to start off with this. Let's just say that you have to go through and ask yourself this question, and you come down to this efficiency. And really, what you're doing, if you're not tracking this information, which I doubt any of you are, because you don't even know about the service system yet, right? Probably never even thought about unbilled time, unbilled travel time, or standby time as cutting into your hours available to sell, right? So I'm going to kind of shortcut this, and I'm going to clear that out, and I'm going to give you some indicators that I see that you should probably be looking at. And I think this one is, I'll put this in here. This is for plumbing department, so I got to look at it differently. Plumbing service is a little bit better than what I see happening on the HVAC side. I'm trying to get that to 40% down here so you can see that I'm playing with it. So that's 1135, let's say. All right, close enough, 40%. Now, plumbing install, I'm going to say that they're 80% efficient. Well, in other words, when I say they're 80% efficient, that means that I want them to have an install that they're billing out for 4 out of 5 days. Now, and that's giving them that 1 day is maybe a day ran over that I didn't bill for. Okay, so that could be a downtime, or I just didn't sell something to fill that in. So I'm going to say 20% of the time that's going to happen, but 80% of the time I'm going to keep the crews busy. Now yours might be 50%. I don't know, but I'm just going to use 80 in this thought process. So 80 would be 2 times this, that would be 47 days. So that's going to give me close to 80% right here. And HVAC, like I said earlier, is a little bit less efficient than plumbing. And here's why. Y'all have service agreements, and if your service agreement is not priced per visit on your hourly rate, then obviously you're not collecting a full hour of service. And most of our calls, or should be, 70% of our calls should be service agreement calls, and 30% being new customers, right? We want everybody on a service agreement. And that's a whole nother topic. Don't make me get derailed here and start talking about service agreements. Service agreements is the most predictable indicator in the HVAC business. All right, doesn't mean you can't have service agreements for plumbing, but HVAC is where it really counts the most. All right, now install. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to say my install crews are 80% efficient, so I'm going to put another 47 unsold days in there of available days, and now I'm at 80% efficient. So that is how we identify our efficiency. Now there's a tab in here that we've added. So if you want to back into your efficiency, go over to MP41, and let me make this a little larger so you can see it. Okay, or maybe I should just say so I can see it, because I was struggling with it. All right, so you can come up here and put in your gross sales for the plumbing service department. Let's say it was $1 million, okay, or 100,000. Put in $1 million, try to. Okay, and I said subcontractor cost of $10,000, let's say. And my material costs were, let's say 200,000. I'm going to say they're 120,000. All right. Now my targeted profit, my net profit, you could say, as you're budgeting, you put in your target. But if you look at your net, I'm going to say you made 20%. Okay. Here's the piece that you have to do. You have to go back and get the hours paid to the technicians last year that worked in this department. Now that's for a technician that worked all year. That's for a technician that came in for 1 week and worked and then left you. Those are all technicians, so you need to add up all of those hours. All right? So I'm going to add up all those hours and say it was 9,600 hours. So that's telling me that I've got enough work for 4.62 full-time service technicians. And my selling price was, let's say my selling price was $450. That would tell me that my efficiency, I generated 404 hours per tech. So my efficiency based on a 2-week vacation would be based off at 20%. Remember what I said over here. We're shooting for a 40. But if this is reality and this is what happened to you, it's going to tell you what that efficiency is. So what you'll need is you'll need your gross sales for that department, the material cost for that department, any subcontractors for that department. What was your company net profit last year? Put it in here, and then put in the number of hours paid by technician, and then plug in your selling price. And that'll spit out your efficiency. So then you can come back here and change your efficiency and make it to what it truly is. All right? So that's efficiency. So there is a way for you to back into it if you haven't been tracking this information here, or you haven't been tracking your hours sold or your days sold. However, that's what we track. We track sold hours and we track sold days, because the result is all of these inefficiencies produce so many sold hours that we can actually sell by the technician. Okay? So you'll be introduced to tracking sold hours and introduced to being tracking sold days to make it easier to track, to know exactly what your true efficiency is. All right, I'm going to leave it at that, and we'll go on to the next one.